Black women drive Democrats. Trump flirts with black college presidents. And Latinos put the like on Biden and Bernie. My name is Jamal Simmons. It's Congressional Black and Hispanic Caucus Week in Washington, and this is why you should care. Black women are still driving the Democratic Party, but their top issues might surprise you. In the last 24 hours, we've seen both Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren make some key campaign announcements. Former Vice President Biden announced several new campaign hires to focus on people of color and women, including Carissa Smith, who will lead the campaign's women engagement outreach. Elizabeth Warren got a big endorsement from Roxane Gay, a prominent feminist author and cultural critic on race and gender yesterday. This one will matter for millennial women and feminists. While all of this was happening, Essence, the magazine that targets black women, released an updated survey on black women. Hat tip to Jonathan Capehart at the Washington Post, who tipped me off to this one with his column. Here's what they found. 95% of black women plan to vote in the next election. 83% of them give President Trump an F on performance, and another 9% give them a D. 73% see Democrats as the best party to represent their issues, but wait, that number gets shakier for millennials. Only 45% of black women see the Democrats as best, and almost 1/3 refuse a party identification. Here's why you should care. The study also focused on a few things that might surprise you. Here are the top issues: criminal justice reform, affordable health care and racism, and equal rights and equal pay. Financial issues were also important, and this jumped off the page to me. 49% of black women want a presidential candidate who focuses on reducing taxes for low and middle income workers, and only 24% want the candidates to focus on increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now that's a little bit of a shocker. Finally, who do they like for president? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders are the top candidates overall. But if you ask the 18 to 34 crowd, you'll get a different order. They like Bernie, Kamala, Warren, and Biden is pulling up the rear for their top candidates. Democrats ignore these women at their peril. After a racially charged speech in North Carolina on Tuesday night, President Trump spoke to leaders from historically black colleges and universities yesterday. The president, who doesn't need a hype man when he's on stage, said his commitment to the schools is, quote, bigger and better and stronger than any previous administration by far. The Trump administration has increased funding to black colleges by more than $100 million and improved the Pell Grant program. He also moved the White House initiative on HBCUs from the Department of Education to the White House, a priority for black educators. But there were some challenges too. Trump also cut funding for federal programs like work study and college counseling, canceling out many of the gains. So here's why you should care. The president regularly references unemployment rates of African Americans and Latinos and how people of color are doing better economically under him than under any other president in history. But the drawbacks are real, and the rally rhetoric just doesn't help Trump close the gap with these voters. The reticence among black voters still shows up in the polls. African American voters put President Trump's job approval at only about 10%. Latinos are a key voting bloc for any election. Though they are not a monolithic electorate, they do primarily vote for Democrats. So it's pretty good news for 2020 contenders Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders that a new Univision poll found they were top choices among likely Latino Democratic primary voters. 22% favored Biden, while 20% said Bernie was their man. The former Housing and Urban Development Secretary and the only Latino in the Democratic horse race, Julian Castro, he came in third at 12. Houston, Texas has the third largest Latino population in the United States, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. And the top 10 presidential candidates are all headed down there for a debate tomorrow night. So am I. But why should you care? Well, if you're Latinx living in the United States, this upcoming election might be important to you. According to Pew Research, half of the Latino population feels their situation in the U.S. has worsened in the past year, and many blame the current administration. 2020 Democratic candidates have done a lot to pitch themselves to this much coveted voting bloc. According to a Politico report, former Vice President Joe Biden recently hired a Latina outreach director, Laura Jimenez, after getting a few endorsements from prominent Texas politicians. And the Sanders team has put real efforts to dispel the talking point that his base is made up of Bernie bros, aka young white guys. Sanders campaign manager Faiz Shakir, he declared that about 40% of campaign staff are people of color, and women are in the majority. According to another study from Pew, Hispanics are projected to become the largest minority group in the 2020 electorate. And the Univision poll, they found 73% of Latinos plan to vote in the general election. That matters. Thanks for watching Hill TV on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. And head to thehill.com for all the latest political news.